Hi, and welcome to In Cadence Season 1, Episode 3. Welcome to all packs listening, wherever you are. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Ken, I'm 51, and in the Gloom packs call me Shredder, and I'm one of the AOQs at the Brook in London.
And I'm Keith, 43, Flea, and I'm AOQ at the Mansion in Leeds, in the north of the UK. Just before we kick off, we have had some great feedback from some packs who are listening. We did ask for that, and any virtuous leader does embrace feedback, both positive and for improvement. We did get a mention that maybe we should invite the guest to introduce himself at the beginning and to contribute all the way through the interview. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to ask our lovely guest to introduce themselves, the typical F3 way, and your F3 role as well, please.
Yeah, no worries. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time you listen to this. My name's Chris Shepherdson. I'm 43, and my F3 nickname is Westie. Was that everything you needed from me?
Indeed, yeah, absolutely.
Pretty much, but also your role as well, Westie. What's your role? Yeah.
Role. Yeah, I guess we'll chat about it a bit more, but essentially the Nant'an for F3 UK in the northeast of England.
Nice. Salute. Good. So you guys know each other, and I know you even trained at the weekend at the Convergence, which is really cool. I wasn't jealous at all. Even when I saw over 2,000 calories on the burn, I'm like, wow. We can still play the name game a bit, yeah?
Correct. Yeah, let's go.
Well, Flea, start us off because you've got a track here.
Well, I'm not going to participate in this game, Shredder, because I was in the circle of trust that named Westie for his first workout. So I'm going to graciously step back and let you have the attempt at guessing his name.
Okay. Well, I did think about this quite a long time, and I went with the simple one for me, which was that you had West Island Terriers. That was my.
It's there or thereabouts. Yeah. She's here. She's right here, in fact. So this is Holly.
She's gorgeous.
She is. She can be very cute, but I think dogs are a little bit like children. They bring out every single emotion in you, on both ends of the scale. So yes, she's a blessing. She's a darling, but yeah, crikey, she can bring out all the rainbow of emotions. Let's say. I'm sure if you're a dog owner, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Does she ever come to a BD with you?
Well, I guess there's a story behind that, which we'll get into when I talk about how the AO got off the floor. But I suppose moving to present day with that early wake up, you want to kind of keep the rest of the house asleep as best you're able. And now my father-in-law lives en route to the Pits BD, the one most local to me. He sleeps quite heavy, so I walk her down, I sneak her into his living room where she settles quite nicely. And then when the BD's over, I extract her, and he's none the wiser, actually. So
unless he watches this podcast.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So it's worked out quite well. She can be sort of restless once I've woken up. You know, you're awake, I'm awake, type of thing. Unless I can sneak out the house, ninja style, she often comes with me and gets that really early morning.
It's good virtue, isn't it? Trying not to be that noisy man. Yeah, you're speaking to the choir here. That's good.
I have to do it too every morning. I go out posting, it's to sneak out without disturbing the dogs too much, but invariably fail and they want to go out, so I have to rush and get them out and let them out to the garden before getting out of the house. So I know the logistical issues.
I'll often bump into one of the other packs Hawaii on the same cut at the same time heading to the BD, and I'll hand the shovel flag over to him while I just drop the dog off, and I'm 45 seconds behind you, mate. You go and plant it.
Nice.
Excellent. So just to finish the warmer armor questions, if you were sort of embodied or described as a typical F3 exercise that we do, what would it be?
It would be music round with bricks. Followed by, it's a bit of a two-part of this, music round with bricks, followed by open, expansive posture, breath work. It's become a bit of a routine that we close every one of our BDs with a music round. Quite early on, I was keen to to introduce the expansive breath work as a close. And if you ever sort of tune into our back blasts, I sort of, you compare and contrast, and I see the ones from the South Shredder. I've seen the ones from yourself, Flea, and everyone's still got that sweat on. They're still catching their breath as they're doing the Namarama. Whereas our lot are a bit more kind of cool, calm, and collected, but it's because they've done that sort of that bookend of breath work at the end. But yeah, the music round it is one of my favorite bits, and I think everybody knows we're getting towards the end. It's where sort of the joy, the relaxation, the smiles, the jokes come out. And then quite often a PAX may have planned the music round without bricks, and I'm always there trying to cajole and convince that we need to include them in some way. It's definitely my favorite piece of exercise equipment, shall we say.
We have someone working on, London's always got loads of work on everywhere, probably everywhere does. Somebody was doing a house up and they had these really nice quality heavy bricks, and there was tons of them in the skip, and I was like, please, can I steal some bricks? And they were like, what? So, can I? And they would help yourself. So I ended up getting about 15 sets of these bricks that weigh 3 kilos each, and a nice little toy, isn't it?
They're fabulous.
Yeah.
Similar story actually. That we've got a PAX called Phoenix, and the village where we are originally is called Crowcrook. It's in a bigger sort of borough called Wrighton, and there used to be a brick manufacturer called Phoenix. So all these bricks are embossed with Phoenix, Crowcrook, and they're a real lovely heavy Victorian brick, like what you talk about, Shredder. And I'll hear you 3 kilos, and I'll raise yours are about 4 kilos each. So they're a meaty brick. Yeah, they really burn towards the end of 3.5-4 minutes worth of dancing to a track at the end.
Get those reverse baby arm circles of the bricks going, and on it.
Yeah.
4 kilos.
I'll put a picture up actually of some that one of our PAX flanks. He's managed to get some bricks again, sort of similar 3.5-4 kilo, maybe 3.7, something like that. But he got his daughter to do some nice stencil artwork on there, and I'll try and put a picture on the video podcast for you to have a look at. Fantastic piece of work. So I said to him, look, can you do some commissions here, because there's really nice bits of stenciling going on. So
you've seen what the Americans do, haven't you? The coupon artwork is phenomenal. I'm currently looking for a stencil of a beaver, because obviously the beaver's the spirit animal for the brook. It's on our flag because the brook that runs through Morden Park where we meet had beavers in it historically, until King Henry VIII either ate them or shot them or gave them to a woman he wanted to marry. So
just be careful what you Google, Shredder.
I know. We did
better beavers than our spirit animal at the moment in the areas around Leeds is currently the mosquito, which seems to be very prevalent at the moment. Everyone's getting chomped to bits and eaten to death on the legs, no matter how much anti-mosquito repellent you put on. Everyone's a feast at the moment.
My mum recommends Avon do something called So Soft, and I've used it with great effect to stop getting bitten. I wear leggings, and pre-respect to one of our PAX, Darby, who he worries about men who wear leggings, but they do help. But today I've just been around the house because I'm a bit down low with my back. I've tweaked it, and somehow I have 15 bites on one leg, and I have at least 10 on the other. Somewhere in my house there must be the most morbidly obese mosquito just crawling along the carpet trying to get to a door to get out, because he must be so fat with my blood. I'm like, anyway, look, cracking on with this concept of this is you embodied the music round with bricks. I guess that also gives us a chance just to have a bit of fun and say, what's your strongest exercise? What is it that you love, Westie, and what is it you hate?
Yeah. Again, in sort of preparation, I thought about this a lot, and I think anything body weight related is usually my strongest, and I think that it sort of evolves month to month because, as you know, we like to run these monthly challenges amongst the packs, either at a national or at a local level. So through the month of January, it was 100 burpees a day. So by the end of January, I was flying with burpees. We did a press-ups challenge through February. We did a skipping rope challenge through March. There was April abs. We did a squat challenge. We've done a plank challenge. So I think it doesn't take too long, a period of focused attention on a set body weight exercise like that to really build my like power to weight ratio, my endurance on those. However, my favorite exercise, it's a bit of a paradox because it's also my weakest and my hardest exercise. I was listening to Crackett last week saying, he likes a little bit of the like the difficult stuff, the challenging stuff, because I think it really sort of connects you with yourself, with your physiology, with your psychology. And my favorite is fast become band resisted sprints. So I was first introduced to these at the Convergence. I know we're going to talk about that a little, or you've talked about that a little bit later on, but Sharkbait was queuing the resistance band section. I was paired up with another PAX by the name of Baller, just like a beast of a man. And it's only just this last week that we've got some cotton ropes, and that was introduced to RAO by DJ. And I've reflected on it and how it made me feel, and it was just this massive neural storm in my body, is I guess the only way I can describe it. You've got maximum motor recruitment going on, this massive load on your nervous system, tons of like sensory feedback in every part of your body, and I'm trying to sort of biologize this surge. I work in healthcare, I work in pain management. I like to understand how our body works and how it feels the way it does. And I think what it brings out in you is this sort of controlled fight or flight response, like a really powerful version of it. Your adrenaline, your dopamine, endorphins, endocannabinoids. I think you're just flooded with that, and this huge disconnect between the amount of effort you're putting in versus the speed that you're going. You're working really hard but moving really really slow, and I think that just amplifies the psychological perception of how difficult this is. It stokes this fire in your belly. It's visceral. You shout, you growl, everyone's growling next to you, giving it their all. So yeah, physically explosive, it's mental focused, it's chemically euphoric. You're flirting with your performance ceiling. Your body loves that challenge, and I think it just reminds you that you're stronger than you thought. You're more capable than you ever thought you were able. So, for that long-winded reasoning, band resisted sprints.
Yeah, we also took delivery of some resistance bands. Those forklift truck straps. That we got some of those as well. That we use at the Convergence. So again, I was very inspired by that. Sharkbait did a great set of exercises there. We had some for our C-sub for Saturday.
Yeah, throwing a hill with those bands.
Hill was great.
And then you're really talking.
And because I still had them from Saturday, on yesterday's BD when I was queuing, I got the guys to do resistance bear crawls. So partners facing opposite way doing bear crawls with the bands around your waist.
Yeah.
And then got them to do partner resistance crawl bears. To get it strapped under your armpits and go backwards again, almost like you're doing vertical push-ups to push back against your partner. Fantastic, absolutely amazing bits of kit, and definitely be coming out again.
And he has me thinking your Monday session was a little bit of an easygoing one to recover.
Well, I did label it as a bit of a recovery session, but and I said bring some tennis balls. Everyone just thought we'll be throwing a few tennis balls around, but actually turned out to be quite a bit of a beast. And especially if I can find a way, I'll put the video of our no hand burpees on that I've got the guys to do for the first time.
Oh yeah.
So you do a full burpee, but your arms are behind your back.
Interested in that. This, I always say that the packs locally, they suggest a bit of an out there obscure exercise, and I'm like, you got to keep your gob shut because this is going to show up one day. I'm making these mental notes, and they'll be included. No hand burpee sounds amazing.
if we were in a normal BD, this is the point where I'd shout demonstration, but that's not appropriate on a podcast. I did a couple of rounds of one-armed burpees, and people said to me, "What?" And I think they're actually easier than two-arm, in the sense of the triangle. No arm intrigues me. The bands, one thing, one of our AOQs in London and Surrey borders, Stitch. He's been working on some band things, and I've asked him to have a go at making these kind of industrial style ones, but in a kind of loop. So you get a stitched middle, and then you get two loops there, like an elongated 8, like that. And in this bit here, then you fold them over and you stick your cinder block in, and you create a cinder block handle. Now he's made a cinder block bag, but I think that's quite resource heavy for every PAX to have. But he's going to go and look at these as a way to do kind of farmers carry type events where you've got the two and you can,
Amazing.
or you can do such versatile kit, isn't it? A band, and I can see why you love it and you hate it and
everything. Yeah, it's like dog ownership.
Yes.
Did you think you'd be doing crazy stuff like this? What was it now? 9 months ago when the North as a region started to come to fruition? Perhaps tell us that story if you want, Westie. Take us back to day one and the original idea that you had of getting F3 started in your region.
Yeah, in terms of my first discovery of F3, you want us to go that far back?
Yeah, let's go back. Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, so it's pretty much, I would say it's pretty much a year to the day for 5th of August.
It is.
And the story goes, I had about 18 months before that, I'd taken a big step back from the work that I was doing. I was quite a demanding clinical lead in a pain management service, and there was a lot of roles kind of mixed into one. It got quite overwhelming, and I took a big step back. This textbook burnout state, I suppose. Stayed in the same field of work, but managed to drop a lot of the work that was doing me no good. Maintain the elements that I found a lot less taxing, which was ironically delivery of group-based work, education programs, etc. And I've kind of found a bit of a groove, or arguably a bit of a plod with that. I regained and recovered my health and well-being. Life was good, health all right, family's health was all right. Pretty much ticking along. Definitely recovered and comfortable within that. And I was talking to my boss, though, one of the frustrations in the work that we do is, in pain management, people often come with a story which started way before. They capsized, they fell in the river many years in some cases before, and we get them at the point where they're pretty much drowning, if you like. And I would hear story after story, and it gets quite frustrating after a little while. Like, why couldn't this have been prevented at the get-go? Could we not move a bit further upstream? I was chatting to my boss about this frustration, and he said, "Oh, you need to speak to Richard, who is a colleague of ours. You guys know him as Sage. He was episode 1 on this podcast. He's kind of getting into this health coaching side of things, looking into that a little bit more detail. I think you do well having a conversation." So we set up some supervision. And actually, we spent that first hour not talking about work, but how are you doing? What's life been treating you? I know you've been through a bit of a tough time. And we got not too far in that conversation, and I mentioned how everything was stable, well, good, but something missing. And he jumped on it straight away, and he says, "I think I know what you might be talking about," and proceeded to tell us about this thing he was getting into, becoming familiar with, about to start in Leeds, called F3. And I reckon he got about 3 sentences in to his elevator pitch, his sales pitch of this. And I'm like, keep talking. I'm liking what I hear. And he was starting in the September. We had our next supervision a month later. We didn't talk about work. We talked about F3. How was it going? And we did this for sort of 2-3 months. And every time we spoke about it, he's not one for massive superlatives, but he was using phrases like game changing. This is something special. And when Sage uses terms like that, you listen, you pay attention. And I said, Sage, started calling him Sage at this point. You keep talking like this, there's a very real risk that I'm going to have to do this up here. So he invited me down to a beatdown. It was, I remember it well. It was the last Saturday in November. It worked out really well because I was taking a flight out of Leeds that evening. Drove down the night before. We dined together. Walter and Atta were up from the southeast. There was a bit of I think it was the first convergence that you had, a bit of a mini convergence. Some of the southeast, some of the Midlands were going to do the Yorkshire Three Peaks. So broke bread with those guys. It was like I'd known them all my life, as it is when you meet at PAX. You know, you get into the same conversations, and everybody's friends straight away. Slept on Sage's floor. About 3 hours in, you know, woke up, lots of nerves, lots of anxiety. What the heck am I doing? Type thoughts. And then yeah, just turned up, driven to the beatdown with Sage, and all these other head torches started to appear from the gloom. And I was like, this is magic. This is right up my street. It was cold. It was dark. There was no one else around. There was almost like a bit of a romance to it, if you know what I mean, in terms of like a secret society type feel. Homer was guest queuing as well, so you can imagine the quality of the first session. It was a 30-30 as well. What I remember quite distinctly was going down thinking I'm relatively fit, but he introduced Mary and Freddie Mercury's, and I was like a beetle on my back, and I couldn't do them, and I thought, wow, I've got a lot of work to do. And that was that. And you guys will agree. You try it once and then you get it. You're like, yeah, I'm all in. How do I make this work up in the northeast? So I came home full of beans, full of motivation, and I needed to know that I could do this. So it was quite an obvious choice where the AO was going to be. It's a 5-minute walk from my home. It's a basketball court with a skate park, with a car park, which leads onto a field. There's a storage area right adjacent to it from the local football club that I'm affiliated with and could take advantage of. So it had everything. And twice a week, leading up to Christmas, I would go down by myself at 6 a.m, take myself through a self-directed beatdown. And then I realized I've got to learn how to call this thing. So I'd been chatting to a trusted friend about this and asked him to be my stooge. McCutcheon, he turned out to be. We came to his name and he said, "Oh, this is my moment." So I said, "This is your moment." And he says, "This is my perfect moment." And I said, "We're done. You've already got your name, Martin McCutcheon." You know. So queued him one-on-one for a couple of sessions either side of Christmas, and then we had a hard start date of the 7th of January, where 8 packs turned up. 3 or 4 of them I knew relatively well through school connections, parents. The other 3 or 4 knew very little about. And it was interesting when you do that. It's sink or swim moment, isn't it? We've turned up here to the great unknown. It's 6 a.m. It's -3 degrees. It's freezing. What's this all about? And all eyes are on you. And it's almost like this switch flicked, and it's like, right, I've just got to go for this. And I would argue it was probably the best I've ever queued. Was the first time I queued. Just everything. You talk about flow state. Definitely felt it there, and everyone walked away happy, and again the same sort of feeling I think that I got from Leeds, that the factory that first time. The rest has just grown from there.
Some comedians tell puns, and I don't like that because I'm an introvert, although people might not realise that. I like to digest things, and I feel like what you've just said then is a meal, a whole meal, in a good way, and
Yeah.
it's almost disrespectful, especially in our culture where we just stand before something amazing and take a picture and go, "What's next?" You know. So no, that's very, very valuable. Thank you for those words.
No, and thanks for the feedback. And do you know what? It's one of my favorite stories of all time. I love to tell that story because it means so much to me. Thanks for letting me talk. You know, the devil's often in the detail, and I am one for speaking excessively a lot of the time, and I'm quite unapologetic for that, because I think those sort of key details that you might wish to wash over, sometimes that might just be the click, the little, the turning point for someone, the trigger, if you like. So no, thank you for that feedback, Shredder.
Things are accelerating now. Things are growing for you. Things are progressing. You're now at a second AO in the region,
Correct.
which is fantastic. So which one's that called?
Yeah, that's called the Ironworks, and you talk about everything being organic and not forced, and that's also really lovely to be part of. I think one of my favourite statistics, achievements from that is everybody who started on the 7th of Jan remains. We had one sort of early dropout after 4 sessions or so, and then every other person that's turned up as an FNG is carried on with this. And we had a bit of a surge about 2 months ago, where another sort of 5 or 6 joined in a space of a couple of weeks. And we went from a regular turnout of maybe 13, 14 to, high teens, 2021. And you quite quickly recognize that that's too great a number, and it does need a little bit of diluting. There is a phrase within the Q source about this, and it's around diminishing returns and whatnot. I'm butchering the abbreviation for it. So quite quickly our hand was forced. We were sort of talking about this loosely, but there wasn't enough of a nudge until it became too big too quick. And then within the space of about 3 or 4 days, the decision was made. We're going to go for it. This is the site that we're going to do. We had a couple of lads sort of traveling over from that neck of the woods anyway, and you think, well, you've already got a few who are going to post a bit more easily, a bit more conveniently there, and let's just see how 20 minutes down the road finds this. So yeah, it's called the Ironworks. It's a reclaimed piece of land, which was an old ironworks, and it's now a country park. So again, a real rich history, just like the pits. It's got a real sort of Geordie folktale behind it. There was a lot of grit. There was a lot of nose to the concrete type practices going on. So there's a bit of beauty in that, I think.
There's definitely some stuff to reflect back on in there. Part of, I think, our hope in terms of, we're all relatively young in the F3 world, and you're recognizing soberly that you've got to a size where you go, this is too much. I think that's a challenge for an AO, and we're in a plant grow serve organization, and there's no two bones about that. I'm bluntly saying to some brothers, you're big now. You're big. It's time to split. It's time to go split. And one of our AOs that I go to as a guest, I have a guy who's looking to come from the other side of Heathrow, and he'll be able to do that for a bit, like I've done before starting the Brook. But I think hearing your voice, I hope it will encourage both those AOs in a place where they know it's great to be together in a lot of us, but they know it's time to divide. And also those going, I'm already convicted of this. I'm here in Morden. I could move in a year's time to Worcester. Wherever I go, I want to put a flag.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. It's the conviction. So, share your heart and bring this out, because whether it's here or anywhere in the world, if any man's listening to this and he's thinking, how do we do this? Well, if we can do it.
Yeah, it's just taking that first bite and getting that bug, and reflecting on the growth that we talk about. This was our first expansion, if you like, and within that, I guess, had to form some structure within our existing packs, and AOQ rules, etc., being disseminated. And it was a really nice exercise for me to sort of reflect on myself, because you kind of have to hand over the keys to the Ferrari that you've been enjoying, driving around for 6 months or so, and you want it to be as good an experience for you as the next guy. And we kind of named our AOQs. DJ, great member of the packs. Like, God, what a guy, what a story, what a transformation he's had since January as well. And that's in safe hands, along with the existing packs. It just runs like clockwork now. It's pretty setting its own ebb and flow and routine. But then we had Ultra, just really keen to take on the experience of AOQ and setting up the ironworks. And there was a moment of hesitancy on my part where there was a risk that I was going to get in his way. And then his enthusiasm and motivation, and his straight talk, and came back to me and said, "Look, I really want to do this, and I reckon I've just got to get out this guy's way because he's accelerating with this." And having now done that, I hope he gets the same joy, the same leadership development that it's organically brought out in me as well. I don't need that experience again. You got to pass the baton down to the ones sort of following up behind you, who are fast overtaking you almost as well. So yeah, it's even that step, I guess, in the growth of a region. It's a learning exercise. There's potential for mistakes to be made, but there's also great development, even by sort of stepping back. That's a leadership trait in its own right as well.
The American sprinter that we have a lot on our Olympic coverage, Michael Johnson, very deep voice, seems like a top guy. Wouldn't he be great to EH? That'd be so cool. Anyway, I remember, I think it was him, somebody said to him, your record's been there for a long time. And he said, it's not my record. I'm just a custodian.
Mm-hmm. And I remember the interview. Yeah.
And that's really stuck with me. I mean, him and Jonathan Edwards, people have held records for a long time who aren't possessive, and it's got to be our way. And actually, Flea and I have been in some discussions we've been chatting between America and the UK a little bit. And there's been some discussion about what happens to these alumni people. And I do think there's thinking to be had, because there's definitely life in the old dog yet. And if we're sure about this plant grow serve model, I genuinely am in a place with the book where it's so young. I'm so proud of the guys that have started, but already I'm saying I can see one, he'll be a good AOQ, another one, he'll be a good AOQ, and I can then go, you guys get on with this, and I'll help them in Wimbledon or Clapham or Tooting. I mean, I tried to EH my dentist today. He's 46 and he was quite big, and he said to me, you're 51. He said, you look considerably younger than I do. And I'm like, because I've lost so much weight. And then, and I confess, Battersea is too far to come. But within a year, what's to stop us being in those places? And, this is why for you're on the border, aren't you? You're just at that place where Scotland is there and all that land. I mean, I have to be careful how much Yorkshire you take off the Yorkshire boys.
So you're not allowed to come south too far.
Anyway,
there's a demarcation line between Yorkshire and the northeast.
Well, we'll talk about borders later, won't we?
I know. It's just exciting.
They're a nice problem to have. If we've got that many AOs in the UK that we're having to negotiate over which
territory,
20, 30, which AO does this territory lie in, because we've got so many. That's a fantastic problem to have, and I look forward to that day when we have to have that discussion. Yeah, it'd be that's the vision. That's what I want to be having.
Absolutely. We do need to get information. Obviously, I asked you before we started about the location information, because especially for guys in your region up there, if they're hearing this and they go, oh, this sounds banging. I'm not sure if they say banging in Geordieland, but
mint.
This sounds mint. I know they don't wear coats, but this sounds mint. How do they get to you?
Yeah, so I guess the closest two major cities are Newcastle and Gateshead, and we're to the west of those. So you follow the River Tyne inland, as it were, and you will hit the Ironworks first, a place called Swarwell. It's a car park, Swarwell Visitor Centre. The postcode NE163BW, and we are there on Mondays and Thursdays, 6 till 6:45. If we want what 3 words for that as well? It's funny having a bit of a search for the right one. The first one I encountered was dog's neck broke, which I sort of steered away from. We also actually had a bit of equipment sort of stolen from there. We thought I'd hidden it well in the trees, but some of the I guess the higher value items like a slam ball and some heavy weight plates and a battle rope went missing last week. And I clicked on the very location of where they went missing from, and it was value taken deal as well. However, smack in the middle of the car park, Crunch Swear Yard. So I'm going to go for Crunch Swear Yard. What 3 words for there? And our original AO is in a village called Crowcrook. Eaton is the town it exists within. Postcode NE403AG. And we're there on a Tuesday and a Friday, again 6 till 6:45. This was a bit more contentious than what 3 words, and actually it's probably not safe for work, some of the ones that were linked to it. So I'm just going to go straight into the King uses effort is the what 3 words for the pits.
I'll be checking those out later.
Yeah.
Really sorry you got your equipment stolen, man.
That's terrible.
It was.
But I tell you what, there must be pretty fit thieves though if they're carrying battle ropes and heavy plates around.
Yeah. And I think out of context, there's potential for it to look like fly tipping. One man's junk's another man's treasure. Yeah. So there's perhaps an element of that. However, there were kind of low ticket items like the bricks and some smaller plates. They were kind of left behind. So unfortunate start. And I remember when we discovered this, we were just sort of setting up. It was maybe the 3rd beat down there. It didn't take long. And I walked out the bushes and Ultra, he chatted us about a bit later, and he said, you just looked deflated, a bit dejected, but immediately followed the beatdown. And I left that beatdown in a completely different place because, I wasn't in that state for very long. And I was able to come away in a much more calm and regulated state. Yeah, something that would have historically maybe consumed not just my day, but my week, my month. It was over in the space of 5 minutes because the BD started. Yeah. And look, it's all learning. It's all learning. When we moved to the Ironworks, we've essentially tried to replicate exactly the same format that we've got the privilege of having at the pits. A boatload of different equipment, lots of environmental resources to call upon, and we realized the Ironworks just needs to be a bit more simple and raw. And bricks, I'm on the lookout for hollow blocks coupons as well. I found some outside of an allotment, so I've popped a little letter in a couple of days ago asking the allotment owner if these are surplus, can I come and take them off your hands? So yeah, just a lot more kind of the raw, the dirt, the take advantage of the forest that we're in, etc. So they're going to be 2 quite contrasting AOs as a result.
It's a bit like the fitness version of Minecraft, where you have to go out and forage for your bits of kit that you're going to use through the week. So
yeah, definitely. It's got a real sort of forest feel to it, more so than the original. Yeah.
Another bit of feedback we've had from One Packs. Really want to talk about like what are we here for in terms of our purpose, me and Shredder. What's in Cadence about compared to the other F3 family of podcasts that are going on? And I think I'm seeing this now, as we're now on episode 3, is that this is now the view of the growth, certainly from a relatively new guy's view. All these guys we listen to, the experienced guys, the SLT, Hook, Dark Helmet, Dread, all of these guys, they've been doing it for many, many, many years, and they've gone through iterations of growth and growth and growth and growth and growth and seen it all before. We're on the other end of that. We're at the, 9 months ago we started, and now we're seeing it coming through. So we're on that acceleration curve from 0 as we're coming through. So I think that's the view that we're taking on this, is we're getting these stories from a relatively
newborn to toddler instead of teenager, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also British angle too, just to mix it up a bit.
Well, that's definitely true. I mean, in the sense of your accent, Westie, like for us, that's normal, but there will be one or two packs listening, going. So he said, "What now?"
Listen, Shredder, this is my posh voice. This is my pronounce my words correctly voice.
Are you doing what that the comedian does? Are you? I forgot his name now. The one that can do the really posh voice.
Oh, no, yes, I
He's a
know the guy you're
legend.
talking about. Yes.
Oh, yes. He'll come to us later.
I'm holding back on some of the Geordie slang.
You're just
Put it that way.
you're being well spoken.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
I remember when I went to university, I went down in Manchester, and Freshers Week, I didn't know anybody there, so you're trying to make new friends, new connections, etc. And I remember asking, it wasn't a yes no question. It was, oh, we're going to go to this bar or this one. It was in Freshers Week, and they just went, yeah. I was like, oh no, it wasn't a yes no question. It's like, oh, I'm really sorry, I didn't know what you said. I just thought I'll say yes and hope for the best. And I went home after maybe 3 weeks of being there, visited home for the first weekend, and my mum looked at us. My mum,
yeah,
my mum looked
yeah.
at me, and she said, "You're talking different, Chris." And I said, "Mum, I've got to talk different, otherwise I wouldn't have any friends, because nobody understands a word I would say." And you'd go back up to the northeast for a weekend, and you'd come back, and it would take 2 or 3 days for the Geordie to unravel back to comprehensible again.
You have to sort of sit in a vat of Newcastle Brown Ale and just return to normal.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Everybody does it though, don't they? Like I worked in Australia and New Zealand back in the day, and you change your accent changes, and you just get used to the place you're at. It's funny that people from Manchester would say they can't understand you though, because yes, well, there is so much accent in our little island. Good. Well, where are we, Flea?
I've been just to touch on that. I've been living in Yorkshire though, which is in the north of England, for 20 years, and I'm typically from the Midlands. I'm grew up not far from where F3 Midlands is based, so that's my local patch. But I moved up for university, similar to USD. But I stayed there. I stayed in Yorkshire, but I haven't picked up much of a Yorkshire accent compared to where I'm from, and neither of you, Shredder, because you're not a typical Londoner.
No. So I mean, you grew up in Staffordshire, right?
Staffordshire, yeah.
So and I grew up in Warwickshire, so I'm a rugby boy. So we're not that far from the Birmingham. We're about the same distance either side.
So we've got
well mixed up.
We've got a good question to ask now, and I think it's a good question to ask Westie.
Go on then.
Where does the Midlands split from the north, and where does the Midlands? Is there a Midlands at all? Do you acknowledge a Midlands, or is it north and south? What's a northerner's view of the rest of England? Let's say England rather than UK.
There is the true answer is there's a north and a south. But if I'm playing your game, it could be argued anything south of County Durham to me is south. However, I would say the limit of that is Sheffield, Liverpool. They're pretty much on a level playing field now, but that's at a push. Birmingham is the most southerly point of the Midlands. If you're below that, you're 100% a shandy drinking southerner, in my eyes.
Okay.
Oh.
Controversy in Cadence
Fighting
S03.
Isn't it? This is a great question.
I think do you know what? I'm looking forward to asking that to our next guest that we have on from the Midlands. I can't remember if it is the next guest that we have, or if it
next is I think next is Bolt, and then we have Guardian.
Yes, and then Guardian. So it's a very good question to ask Guardian, actually, who is based in Birmingham area and has good definition too.
I guess to give context to that, having been down to Birmingham a couple of times over the course of this summer, once for F3, once work related, it was a 4-hour drive to get to Birmingham. That's south. That's you're getting into the south. 4 hours drive, you're into a different territory, definitely.
But for those Americans listening, a 4-hour drive is interstate. You know what I mean? It's a short drive.
All relative.
So, that's a large stake, isn't it? A 4-hour drive. You'd go that way. I have a friend who drives lorries, and I've been trying to get him. He's in Kansas, and I've been trying to get him towards. I've got a couple of Yankee friends and say, "Come on, let's get you boys an F3." And he drives 1,000-mile trips with his lorry. And it's not that long ago he sent me a picture of his certificate of this is my first 1 million miles driving for work. I know. But also, this is the dude who will occasionally send me a picture of a tornado from his truck. It's a different world. And you know what? It's okay. I mean, we don't get many tornadoes, do we? You had that one in Birmingham a few years ago that did maybe £2 million worth of improvements to the city centre, but we don't tend to see them. Sorry, was that too much of a joke there?
There's loads of controversy on this one. This is great.
Whoa. Anyway, we should get back to the questions before Shredder gets sacked.
Talking of Birmingham, and we hark back to music. And I gave Westie a very nice tabata on Saturday at our C-Sup.
Great.
What was your feedback, Westie, on that C-Sup event? We didn't ask for feedback at the time. Be interested to get your views on it.
Well, first of all, I reflect on the journey to and from. Up until very close to the event, I was driving down on my own, and then we had a last-minute shift from DJ. He said, "I'm gonna soft commit to that." But if you want, Flea, if you describe what the event consisted of, and then I can maybe sort of give some context to DJ's reservation.
Yeah. So we decided to split it up. So this is Yorkshire's first year of existence. Has been an F3 region, and to sort of celebrate, have a pre-early birthday party, we thought we'd put on a relatively simple C-Sup, not too complex. We're not talking a 24-hour or 48-hour event. We're just talking maybe a 3-hour one, just a mini one. So we split it up between some of the AOQs. So I had the first third of a BD to do, which was about 40 minutes. I did some Cadence stuff. I did got the resistance bands out. We got some sandbags out, and we had a bit of fun for 40 minutes. I threw a tabata in there as well. That was, I think it was 1 round of mountain climbers and 7 rounds of 6-point burpees or bastardo burpees, which is the 6 points with a jump at the end. So yeah, just to get the guys sweaty on that. Then we had a few minutes rehydration, a little bit of a Q source discussion on reflection. Was my quick discussion point. And then it moved into Toffee's BD, where again he did 35-40 minutes, a lot of sprints and carry work with sandbags, body weight exercises, whilst 2 other teams of the packs were doing a tug of war with a battle rope. So we split the packs into 4 teams, and we had 2 teams going at a tug of war, and then the other 2 teams doing a body weight and sandbags respectively. And then we switched it around, and then everyone played everyone on tug of war. So that was fun. I like the fun elements there to do. Again, back in for another quick Q source discussion, and then it was off to Sage to do his final third BD, where we were off with sandbags. We were doing King of the Hill sprints. I can't remember what else it was. I was gassed by that time.
Tunnel of Love.
Everyone was Tunnel of Love, which is where everyone's in downward dog and commando crawling through. So that was great. And then quickly back in to finish, had a quick rehydration, and then we all did a 5K park run around the park with the official park run organisation. So we did that.
So it was advertised as you described it, a 2-hour beatdown essentially in a 5K park run, and the reservation DJ had was, I think his words were, "I've never ran 5K in my life." If I hope I'm not misquoting him. But the very fact that he was thinking about going, I grabbed that and I sort of wrung his neck with this. Is, if you are thinking about going and you're in a position where you can, from a family commitments point of view, and you don't go, you're going to be kicking yourself. So, and it was interesting. It was about Next Horizons. Don't think about the park run. Just get through the BDs as they play out, and then. It doesn't matter how you complete that park run. You can run, walk. We were talking about the practice of Jeffing, which is if you run, walk a distance race, you often get a better time than if you try and run it outright and gas yourself. Sent him a bit of information about that concept. And and this is where the fellowship, the brotherhood, the glue kicks in. You should never have told me that soft commit, because within about 20 seconds it became an HC, and then the rest is history. It's the power of it, isn't it? And we were all buzzing with what we achieved in that. The drive down flew over. It's the quickest drive to Leeds I've ever had, because we just never stopped talking. BD itself was incredible. I think what I always like to take away is fresh ideas, and I got a ton from a 2-hour BD. The challenge of a 5K park run, it's very much you against you. And then the drive home, we were suitably smoked. We were complaining about various sort of ails and aches and things like that. But just such an exhausting but satisfying, empowering experience. And the main reflection that we had on that was, we do that 6-7 months ago, you've got no chance, mate. And it's a real good yardstick for how the first F has accelerated since we started in January. Yeah, incredible. You did a great job.
Fantastic. Big thank you for coming down and representing. It's always great to see PAX visiting. We had Concrete and the scientists from Midlands pop up as well. So yeah, good. Big thanks to those two for coming by. I hope those two. Well, I know they were suitably gassed, because Concrete messaged me afterwards saying thanks, and he refrained from eating the leftover snacks on the way back. So he did a good job there.
The cakes were superb.
Yeah, we did put on a spread of cakes, and again, one of the side missions for the CSUP was to have our flags planted next to where the park run is announced and where they do all the start of it. So we've got the F3 flags out in direct view of the park run crowd, start and finish. So we got park run to announce what we were doing, which is great of them. Fantastic that they would do that for us. So they were more than happy to explain before the run. And then after, we had some flyers to hand out to those guys crossing the finish line. Come over, come see what we're doing. We've got some cake. Come and have a chat and explain what we're doing. So Toffee, I, and Sage popped out, and we're trying to re-age some guys.
Yeah,
going around. So yeah, it's a bit of a multi-purpose event, but again, awareness is the first step. That guys know that this exists for them if they want to. And I said, look, as I was talking to the guys and giving them the flyer, I said, look, if this isn't for you at this time, keep the flyer and do us a favour. If you're not going to turn up pretty soon, please tell someone who you think might be interested to turn up. Pass it on. Even if you're not going to turn up, please pass on the news. And I said, look, we've got zero advertising budget. We're just relying on word of mouth. So please do us a favour and share it. So we've got one HC for Friday.
Awesome.
So
yeah, awesome.
Good.
It was seamless. Yeah. And even if it gets one HC out of that, one FNG, I know it's totally worth it. What a privilege to get that FNG across the threshold.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It sounds like, you said you'd had some chunks of recruiting, that you found that recruiting at times to get men in has not always been that easy. Is that fair?
Ourselves or to Flea?
Yeah, no. To you, I can interview Flea anytime.
Yeah, it's well, about a month before I was looking to set this thing away and advertise it. I was off Facebook completely, and I begrudgingly had to rejoin, because it's the easy win in terms of word of mouth. That was enough to get it going, and again, maybe reflecting on the conversation from 2 weeks ago with Crackit, once it builds a critical mass, then word of mouth becomes a more powerful tool. I don't think we're quite there yet, particularly with the new AO. I had a drive through there today, and I just saw a barber shop and a pub open on the way to collect my son from the club he was in. And I thought, I'm just going to drop a couple of. I've always got them in the boot, the posters, just ready to sort of drop off at key venues. And I think if you can kind of just keep chipping away at it like that, it's not going anywhere. It's not going away.
No, we're not, are we?
Inevitably, at some point, people will get ears or eyes on it, and Maybe it takes a few times of seeing it. Maybe it needs to be a bit more normal and familiar in the region instead of this weird thing that nobody's heard of around there. But it soon becomes a no-brainer.
That's definitely the
I'm
testimony,
preaching to
isn't
the
it?
converted here.
No, yeah, no, that's good. But we have no sense of who comes across the podcast, and there could be somebody thinking about their well-being, and they don't have to get fit to join, do they? They turn up where they are, and we never ever leave anyone behind.
100%.
That's something I'm really proud of. You can feel crap at times, or you can compare yourself. That's what the world's like, and that's one of the ways in which F3 is generally so countercultural.
Yeah.
That's that's rocket fuel.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
It's already there, the fuel, and it's just that spark, isn't it? And it can quite easily explode.
And you were talking about drawing out the power. Sorry, go on, Flea.
So now I'm going to ask what's now going to be a traditional question for me. Is what is your 10-second elevator pitch to someone who you think might be interested?
Yeah, it's evolved over time. You go all in, you drink the Kool-Aid, and all of the lingo, including the 3 Fs. You try and explain it for it in its entirety. And I remember liaising with you about advertising, maybe sort of Easter time, Flea, and what we have on the posters and what we kind of exclude. And it really is the draw the hook is the free workout, the fitness element of it. And when you live in a society, I guess it's a bit more secular. As soon as you mention the word faith, if you live in Newcastle, where the idea or the concept of a circle of trust is a very alien thing, that first poster, we've evolved to kind of omit that. We only include the first 4 of the 5 core principles. And then I think beyond that first post, and the rest becomes obvious. It doesn't need sort of that explanation. It doesn't need that. And I guess there may be people that sort of disagree with that, but what I think is get them in the door first by whatever means, and then work out the details later. Would you agree with that?
But that's you. Obviously, what you're saying there is you're not advertising that you do a circle of trust, but you always do a circle of trust.
100%.
So again, it's not that you don't do it; it's just you don't advertise it. This is one of the principles that we stick with.
Yeah, and I'm really protective of it as well. There are elements that can't not be done, like the planting of the flag. Well, it's a bit weird. You carry sort of a shovel with a flag attached to it and things. But yeah, the circle of trust is where a lot of the magic happens, and it probably takes a bit of greater exposure to that, I think, before it becomes the normal, before it becomes comfortable. It's not strange and unusual. And anything that's different has got the potential to be an off-putter or an excuse not to come back, if you like. I remember talking a while back to the M of a lad that I know within the village, and we haven't sort of used the term circle of trust within our advertisement for maybe 3-4 months. But she said, "Oh, I think it's just the circle of trust that kind of puts him off a little bit." And I was like, "Oh, right. Well, why does it put him off?" And then you get into the more convoluted discussion about it. And I hear that about someone. I was like, "You're someone who would benefit maximally from that component of it. You just don't know it. You've never had exposure to that resource, if you like." So yeah, the core principles have to remain. They're a key component. I'm extremely protective and proud of them, but I recognise that at the FNG, the EH stage, we don't need to sort of champion them too much. They can get that once they're into the mix.
But one of the F3 podcasts from last week was the Katie Texas team talking about the 30-30 formats. Have you managed to get those rolled out yet to either AOs?
No, and I feel like it's an excuse rather than the reason that it is. But because all our beatdowns occur on a weekday morning, um, there's not that capacity, I think, for packs to hang around for that 30 minutes. We could go for an earlier start time, but again, that sort of changes the regular start time. So we recognise that 30:30s are next on the cards, but we also recognise that needs to be a Saturday or a Sunday. But then you throw kids football in the mix. The majority of packs within our AO have football and kids. I've got 3. It's all on Saturday morning. Some play on a Sunday morning. So it's find that sweet spot. When do you shoehorn it in? But I think we've got Sunday morning earmarked for a 30:30 in the in next month. That'll be the first, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I think everybody's ready for it by now.
It is that nice bit of glue to really bring that second and third F together. It really does. And the guys get closer for it. And again, as you evolve through, and I think Yorkshire's about 4 months ahead of Northeast, I think, in terms of maturity. And I like to talk about the maturity of the regions in the AOs. Just being that little bit ahead, we're now at a point where it's now third generation 30-30 leads. So Sage, I was in FNG to Sage, and then someone was in FNG that I was queuing for, and then now they're leading the 30-30s. So we're now at sort of third generation within the region of guys who are coming through and doing it. And it's a great thing to be able to pass on and to be able to coach and support someone to go through it and to be able to lead that discussion. And it's people aren't used to facilitating a group discussion before. They've never been in that, never had to do it for their mammon or for their work role. It's completely alien, yeah. And it's great to see people who don't do it naturally.
And, you talk about that, and naturally the Yorkshire region is my immediate one that I compare to, and there's a risk of sort of compare and contrast or compare and despair. And I'm acutely aware that we haven't been doing these 30:30s, but I'm also aware that from the get-go, you guys always had a Saturday morning in your itinerary. And that's the time to do it. It's the weekends where there's not that need to sort of rush off at the end as such. But I'm not despairing about it, and I'm not forcing the issue. And again, just trust the process. It will happen organically. Pac's already talking about we're earmarking September for the first, and you get that first one out of the way, and then it's just part of the agenda. Yeah.
Next on the agenda after your 30-30 launch will be the first Northeast CSUP.
Yes, we've got an idea for it.
Which I look forward to attending.
Yes. The floating idea is to get a really heavy log to the top of a really big hill. But I also want to climb a really big tree in there as well. So that's kind of the framework that we're working off. I've got a couple of hills identified, and it might be more than one log. Depends on how many people are up for it. Watch this space.
Take pictures and video.
Yeah.
We've got our very first 30-30 at the Brook this Saturday, and I'm second guessing myself a lot actually. With it, originally I had a thing in my head, and I've listened to some wise packs, and they've said, "Whoa, slow down." But yeah, we'll be there. The main thing I'm going to say is this will be out by then. I'm going to bake for the 30-30. A while ago when I did my first one, I made mincemeat, and for Americans, this is what goes in Christmas puddings. It's not like Joey and Friends where you have the mince in the trifle. Mincemeat brownies, and they are very nice. So I'm going to make those this Saturday. So even if I cock up the 30-30 talk, everybody will be so full of sugar they won't notice. So
yeah, they'll remember.
If there's any left over, please can you post some up to Yorkshire?
Along with the other in Cadence flag that I might have accidentally ordered.
So hopefully everyone who's watching can see Shredder's new in Cadence flag behind
it.
Yes,
it's there. There's the.
Nice.
And are we going to get the special graphical exit on this episode you were working on? You know, you did the video.
I think we should have. I think we will.
I think you should.
I think we should. We will. No, we will. HC.
Can I ask my my EH question now, please, sir? Is that all right, Westie?
Yeah, let me get it ready.
Come on then. So, if you could EH anyone, and I mean anyone, no, I mean because it's you. If you want to kind of EH a famous local duo that you might see on the television occasionally, you've got the choice. Who would you EH if you could, and what would you call them if you had the choice?
Yeah, my answer to this would be Wim Hof or Wim Hof, the Iceman.
Yes.
I like the cut of his jib. He's got this affinity with doing hard things already. He's living proof. He's not just anecdotally about the benefits, the value of this. He's broken numerous world records through his feats of endurance and I guess exposure to really hard, challenging things. But he's also got the science to back it up as well. He's not just this individual freak of nature. He's shown that his methods can work for anyone. He's taken it to clinical trials and proven as such. And you bring someone like that to a BD. He's a bit like a Dutch Brian Blessed, isn't he? He booms, and his presence is felt. And when he talks, you listen. And when he talks, it's good stuff. It's not overcomplicated. It's simple, around breath work. In his case, the exposure to hard things is called exposure. And what our body is capable of if we tap into to those aspects of it. So I think for those reasons, and yeah, he's almost like an embodiment of the 5 core principles, I guess. He's trying to pay this gift forward to others as well. He's a servant of his craft. In terms of his F3 nickname, he's already got one, hasn't he? He's the Iceman, but you can't go that obvious. So naturally, my brain goes towards music. And I thought either Hey Ya from the song by Outkast, so call him Hey Ya, because what's cooler than being cool?
Mm-hmm.
Ice cold.
Ice cold. But I would also maybe consider calling him Queen Elsa, because the cold doesn't bother him anyway. I thought that would be a good little skit on him.
You could call him Olaf.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the main song he sings.
But yeah, the cold doesn't bother me. And summertime.
Yes.
Yes, I am not singing that. No.
Well, the other one is this will all make sense when I am older, and yeah, perhaps we're still kind of trying to make sense of all of this. This crazy thing called life.
We'd get back to Freddie Mercury if you're not careful with crazy little things. Good.
So apart from Brownie Shredder, what else is cracking on down south?
So we've got the CSUP coming up. I'm trying to get AOs now to HC because we've got a busy few weeks. The CSUP on the 30th in Morden in the evening, Capture the Flag event. I might put the flag up again for the next podcast. The Saturday after, we have the 47-kilometre hop-on, hop-off Walton to Westminster walk from the Bridge AO all the way through to Westminster. Apparently they're going to the pub afterwards. I'm not sure how many people are going to make it to the pub after 47k of walking across London. If I can HC, which I'm still working out with my M, I am going to try and wear my 15-kilo pack on that walk. But we'll see. And I also understand that Surrey and Sussex might have another CSUP coming a few days, following week, Saturday the 13th. So I'm trying to get details for that. So those ones are there. Get your HCs in anyone to any of them. And if it's the Walton Westminster, get your trail shoes on and practice. The post for that's on F3 UK band. Everyone's welcome. There you go.
Fantastic.
Seems to be CSUP season at the moment. Concrete was telling me that the Midlands are looking to plan one as well. I won't spoil the surprise, but keep your eyes posted, guys, on the UK band for what that'll be.
I wouldn't mind trying to arrange and visit a few more. It's the balance, isn't it, with life and family and all of these things.
course. Not a bad little carrot having a pub at the end of a sea soap, though.
I know. I was tempted to quitting drinking. I haven't had alcohol now for nearly, what is it, just over 3.5 years. And I feel like after 47k, I might need some Jamesons. But yeah, to be honest, anybody that does that walk, like Croak is organising it, said anyone who does that walk just is gonna get so much out of it, and you don't need to carry anything else other than just a heart to walk, and people will carry each other through it. It'll be nice. If there's one in Birmingham coming up, that'll be excellent. I know because Walter, I think, is the one that's planning the Surrey and Sussex one. That's going to be banging. And before we know it, I said to you, some of us we're climbing up the second tallest building in the UK in October. We need to find out about this other American challenge that we heard from perhaps some hi in Huck's Circle of Trust podcast, because they said UK packs can get involved in that. And then obviously there's November, isn't there?
There's November, yeah. There's the Valor event kicking off on the 15th of November. Again, check out UK Band for details on that. Get your registrations in. Homer and Walter, I think, we're coordinating that one. So again, all the info's on that UK Band. Obviously, need to find out about this Iron Packs challenge that's kicking off in the US. Seen that posted on Slack. I've known nothing about it. Apparently, it's an annual thing, and the beauty of being only a year in is you don't know about the stuff that was done a year ago, and you get to go through the whole learning process again. So
I know.
I'll take that as a task, guys. I'll go and learn what it is, and come back and report back, and see if that's something we can also do in the UK. If it sounds interesting,
yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
Always up for a challenge. And then what else is kicking off? Oh, so much going off. We've got a busy diary on the run up to Christmas.
I know.
We've got also an appeal going out to any AOQs that are listening. If you've got any FNGs that are coming in, please let us know. We want to give them shout outs, give them some recognition for turning up, getting in the gloom with us. And again, if anyone's interested to come on and have a chat and tell us their story, please let us know. We'll pop the email address at the bottom of the screen or the top of the screen, wherever there's space, maybe the top left, who knows. It'll be on the screen and in the show notes.
Can I do those two FNG ones from this week? Is that just get them in quickly? So this is part of the point of what you're saying about a little thing for somebody matters. I picked up because I just gone on admin for the Facebook post on Southeast, and somebody posted on that, and I then connected him to the weir, and he went, and he's Edge. So welcome home, brother Edge. And also, I'm not going to lie, there's got to be some form of cider connection here. We want to say welcome home to Scrumpy. I couldn't yet find out where Scrumpy is, possibly in a large cider vat somewhere, but welcome home, brother. We're really glad that you've found us, and we look forward to seeing you in the gloom. So, yeah, tell us, AOQs, Weasel Shakers, tell us about these brothers that have joined us, and we'll give them shout outs, because we should recognise that wherever they are in the UK.
100%.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, Westie, what's your final talk for us? What's the final word?
I think I just want to part with gratitude, really, to the whole shebang. So thank you for the invitation, you guys, to share a little piece of my mind on this topic. I've got to thank Sage directly for recognizing the need for this in me, and as I say, it didn't take much convincing. It just needed my attention turned onto it, and the rest was rocket fuel, as we mentioned earlier. And I really want to just acknowledge all the packs, whether I've met you in person or not, and the impact that you've had on the growth in the Northeast. The guys in the Northeast, they're a special bunch. If there weren't so many of them, I would go around the Name-A-Rama and mention each one of them by name. But McCutcheon for putting himself out there to show up to those early tester BDs, the fun, the banter, the groans that I hear in the gloom, the laughter, the quick wit, the in jokes that we've got. Wild shouting burpee every time we do burpees. You get these little in jokes, and it's just all. I'm just grateful for every single aspect of it. So thanks to everyone.
Fantastic.
Good.
I knew I'd get a burpee in.
That was me on Saturday, just shouting burpee at every possible opportunity. So,
I was rocking it with you.
It's always good when there's a burpee.
Indeed.
And a brick.
Well, and bricks. Talking of bricks, I did want to mention. I didn't have a chance to mention it earlier, but the everlasting memory that I will forever have of DJ is him queuing at the Convergence with a pair of bricks, doing bodyweight exercises with the bricks to the Postman Pat theme song.
Yes.
I absolutely loved that. It was so surreal. It was absolutely crazy. We just driven for 2.5 hours to get down there, setting up and whatever. First thing, launch straight in. Right, do some side straddle hops with bricks to Postman Pat. It was absolutely fantastic. And DJ being DJ absolutely owned it and made it a laugh, but made it all work. He was absolutely great character for sure.
Yeah, that was a moment. The first time we did that one, the very end, you're skipping around in a circle, high knee skips with bricks above your head. Everyone's smoked by then, and this dog walker walked straight through the middle of us to put his dog's business in the bin. And he didn't look up. He just walked. He plowed straight through. And we say it's a cult, but it's not a cult. And if any moment we were doing a cultish thing, it was dancing around a circle to Postman Pat with bricks. And it hits hard when you first try that music round. If anyone wants the drill, reach out to me and I'll send it on to you.
Brain has stopped working at Postman Pat and bricks.
You got to try it, Shredder.
Fantastic.
I'm tempted. Not this week. I know what I'm doing with the 30-30. It's all going to be about obstacles. And I think we're going to be climbing over lots of obstacles. I'm just hoping that I'm not going to be that embarrassed Q who's still down low with my back ahead of queuing, because I'll be like, I know you're not supposed to do it if you can't queue it, but bending is still a slight challenge. But anyway, we'll get there.
Mod it.
We'll get there.
Mod it.
Good.
Cool. Right, we are significantly over our target time of 1 hour.
Okay.
So we'll
okay.
leave it
We'll
there. We'll stop there. Yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in. We'll be with you again in two weeks' time. We're being released on the Wednesday. I've got a nice 2 weeks in France now for a vacation, so I'll come back full of bread and cheese and other French foodstuffs. So see you all in 2 weeks. In the 2 weeks. And that's all for today from us in Cadence.
Thank you both. Thanks, guys.
See ya.